Hi, I'm Interim Chief Mike Hartley. On today's episode of Q&A with BPD, we'll look at an upcoming disparity study we'll be undertaking with the Center for Policing Equity. CPE stands for the Center for Policing Equity, and it's a third-party nonprofit that works with police departments throughout the country in doing data analysis. And really what's behind the analysis is to look for disparities in how different departments are policing. The National Justice Database is one of the first of its kind throughout the country. And what that does is it takes the data from about 100 different police departments throughout the country. These departments make up about 25% of the country's population. So there's some big ones in there mixed in with some smaller and medium size. But what they do is they look at police statistics that are drawn from police behavior, including stops and arrests, calls for service. They take that, enter into the database, and then they will produce an analysis for the individual departments. When I became interim police chief, I devoted myself to the first 100 days to really move along this concept of being one of the most transparent police departments in the state. And so not only did we launch our data dashboard that included arrest information, traffic stop information, use of force information, all that stuff that can be found on that data dashboard. But we also started to collect traffic stop data that could be used on later to look at how we are stopping people that are traveling through Bloomington. And so along with that, what we decided was to do is to enter into an agreement with the Center for Policing Equity and to provide our data to them. We're always looking to improve. I think I stand behind the work that the men and women of the Bloomington Police Department do every single day. I also am open to suggestions on how we can do things better. And so if there's disparities that are not societal in workings and it's actually our department, I'll be all ears. We'll look at them and we'll make adjustments to make sure that we are doing our part to eliminate those disparities. So what this project does is it looks at all sorts of police contacts to include traffic stops, arrests, pedestrian stops, report calls, and what they'll do is then they'll take that data and they'll analyze it to look for disparities in race. They'll look at disparities in maybe how you're stopping certain cars, and so it's a deeper dive than what we currently do as far as what we'll put out on our data dashboard. Initially, when we enter into the agreement with CPE, we'll provide 1 month's worth of data. They'll give us kind of a snapshot of where we are sitting as a police department and with those contacts from 1 month. Then the deeper dive begins, and they'll look back 5 years. What we expect to do with that information is to, again, look for any areas that we can improve upon to eliminate some of those disparities, such as what percentage of the car stops are equipment violations, what percentage are moving infractions. We already track the number of residents versus non-residents that we're stopping so that we're not necessarily comparing an unfair number of traffic stops to those that don't even live in our community and those demographics. And so this is a way, again, to continue to be transparent, to open the doors of the BPD, to let people see how we go about doing business on a daily basis and how we can improve so that we can best serve all residents of Bloomington. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Q&A with BPD. If you have any questions about this episode or any other, please reach out and we'll get those questions answered. Thanks.